Hello, and welcome back to Satisfactory Outpost in the Desert. In the last episode, we finished up our iron outpost to the west. It's looking pretty good. I replaced the foundations I stole and put in a roof. And now we are headed to the east, to our second outpost, to get started on concrete. We've got a small network of hypertubes moving from our starter base to the various outposts. These are all going to be temporary. We'll have a more permanent setup once we finish our first outposts and decide on a placement for, the more advanced components. So I've got the this outpost. You'll notice it's a lot smaller than the iron outpost. I've already set up half of the first floor, and we're just going to go ahead and mimic this on the other half. I've got two pure limestone nodes. Let's just take a quick peek. That have been belted to the concrete factory. The first is, I guess we can just run over there. The first node is the one that we've been using, the one we've been, using with our portable miners. Let's put our window back. So there's the first node. I've still got the portable miners there. I can reclaim those later when I need to place more miners or upgrade these. And then the second node is not too far to the south. I think it's just beyond our coal nodes. There we are. So it's right up there on a little bit of a ledge. And I'm just belting them to belting them under the starter factory and to one side of the concrete outpost. I'm not terribly concerned with having the belts be completely straight or turn at 90-degree angles under the starter factory. They'll all be mostly hidden. It's kind of like an out of sight, out of mind thing. And there's also a really good chance that these belts are replaced with either trucks or trains down the line as we unlock them. So back at the concrete factory, I'm planning again for Mark V belts, Mark III miners. I'll have both of those nodes bumped up with a power shard after the Mark III to fully supply a Mark V belt with 780 units of ore per minute. And that means each belt can supply 16 constructors making concrete. Or will be able to once we reach that stage of the game. So this is going to be pretty quick. This is the first belt from our conveyor lift. Now we'll put down 8 splitters. Eight constructors. Make sure they're aligned. There we go. So you can see I've already got the ceiling up there. There's a good chance that we add another floor of constructors making concrete in the future. Maybe constructors, maybe there'll be assemblers using an alternate recipe with silica. There is a recipe for using water. I think let's see if we have it. It's called wet concrete. Yeah, this is the one, wet concrete. It's got the highest production rate by far, but they have to be made in refineries. And while I was initially really excited about these pure recipes that basically just combine a basic resource or a common resource and water, the fact that they have to be made in refineries, I mean, it really increases the amount of power you need, right? Let's take the let's see what we've got here. Take the alternate iron recipe, for example. This is not right, but this is a bug. It says 120, but it's actually 30. Okay. So here you're getting one piece of ore to one ingot. Here you're getting 7 pieces of ore to 13 ingots. So it's almost double the efficiency in terms of ingots to ore, right? But it's made in a refinery instead of a smelter. A smelter requires only 4 megawatts of energy. That's it. 4. A refinery requires 50 megawatts of energy. Do I have a space there? I feel like I do. Oh, there we go. So you need 12.5 times the energy requirements to use those recipes with water, as opposed to just making them in a smelter and adding more smelters, So I think those recipes are like extremely situational. If you've got a ton of energy, if you've got like a large nuclear farm, you've got a ton of excess energy, you could afford to use refineries. But I think in most cases, it's probably not worth it. It's better just to find another node, supply more ore, and continue using your smelters or your constructors if you're talking about wet concrete. So, unless they really up the efficiency in terms of ore to ingots or limestone to concrete of those recipes, I don't think they're going to see a lot of use for most people. Alright, we've got all of our splitters, our mergers, and our constructors set. Now we get some belts. This first one's easy. We'll just belt between our splitters. Now we're merging to the south. And while we're in the middle, let's go ahead and set up our recipes here. So with our starter factory, we only had 4 constructors making concrete, and now we'll go from 4 to 32, once we have the belt capacity to support all of these constructors. That's a fair amount of concrete. I'm also thinking that probably maybe not the floor directly above, which is likely to be used for just more concrete. Maybe the floor above that, we could set up for encased industrial beams, which is a early mid-game product that uses concrete and either steel beams or steel pipes, depending on the recipe you're using. And you need a lot of that. So I'm thinking that eventually in this outpost, in addition to concrete, we'll also be making the encased industrial beams. Now we're going to use the Mark 1 belts to connect the constructors to the splitters and mergers. Okay, one more set. Okay. Now we need to feed the other side of these constructors with the ore. How did I do that here? Lifted it up? Okay. Lift it up. Okay, nice. So the ore that's coming from the conveyor lift is being split to feed each row of constructors. And then they both merge in the center. And we're going to set up I'm going to set up 3 industrial storage containers for this one cluster of 16 constructors. And I'm doing that just because the concrete needs, our concrete needs, for producing these outposts is going to be so high. Lift it on the inside. Okay. I don't like that clipping. Let's see if we can fix that. Yeah, there's no clipping here, so there shouldn't be any clipping there either. Unless... Okay, I see the issue. This is not aligned. There we go. That should be better. Yeah. Alright, and then we're just gonna connect these industrial storage containers. You see I alternated their orientations. So the first one is outputting to the west, and the second is outputting to the east, and the third one outputting to the west. So they'll just completely fill each other before the production stops, just so we have a really large supply of concrete to work with. Okay. We avoid the clipping. No, we clipped through that storage container just a little bit with the wire. You know what really needs to happen is this. Let's deconstruct that. There we go. Okay, make this a Mark II. Just looks a little nicer. Let's make this one a Mark II as well. Why not? Now we just need to calculate how many of these we can actually power with our current belts. So the ore belts right now are carrying 240 pieces of ore per minute. 240 divided by 45. I think it's like 5.3, 5 and a third. So we'll go ahead and we'll power 6. Six of the eventual 16. Just make sure our LEDs are turning from red to yellow to green. And we're making concrete. Okay, that was pretty quick. And for now, our concrete outpost is done. We'll come back later. We'll likely put more concrete production on the second floor. We'll have to hunt down a few more nodes. And then even later than that, we'll probably add some automation for encased industrial beams once we've got our steel outpost set up. And this is probably after we've unlocked tiers 5 and 6. There's no real need for encased industrial beams until you're in tier 5 and 6. Alright, so back to the temporary hub nexus, or hypertube nexus. Now we're going to what will become the copper outpost. Actually, before we do this, let's take a look at the copper nodes that we have access to nearby. I don't think I've tapped any of them yet, and I need to. Do I have enough space for 3 Mark II miners? Yeah, just need to pick up the portable miners. So one of the nodes we'll be using is the one we had originally for our starter base. This right here, still filled with Portable miners. Pick up, pick up. Pick up. I want to delete this ore in the way. Actually, this might be a better or smarter way to do this. Just clear out a few spaces. Now we need 3 more. Okay, and we'll delete the ore. Is this enough room for a Mark II miner? Yeah, it's fine. So there's one. And there's another pure node, I believe, right back here. Not too far. Now this copper outpost is a little bit tricky, just because of the needs of copper in the mid and late game. Okay, so this is our second pure node. And there's one more copper pure node, and it's a little farther than all the others that we've tapped so far. It'll be a bit of a chore to belt it. I believe this is a pure iron. Let's check it really quickly. Yeah, pure. We'll probably use this in our steel factory, our steel outpost. Poison gas. Let's hope the copper node isn't in the middle of some poison gas. Alright, here's the third one. These are the only 3 pure copper nodes that I found in the desert area. There are many more normal quality nodes, and I suspect that we will be tapping a few normal nodes later in the game because of the copper needs that we'll have in the mid and late game. And by that I'm talking about probably the alternate quickwire recipe that uses copper ingots in addition to caterium ingots to make quickwire. We're going to have a lot of demand for quickwire. Quite a lot, actually. And there's only one pure caterium node that's nearby. There is a pure caterium node that's even farther to the southwest. We may tap both of them. Likely will. And also in the late game, once you unlock tier 7, you know you've got aluminum and alkylate aluminum sheets, which are used for many things: turbo motors, heat sinks, radio control units, and the alkylate aluminum sheets, you know, just by themselves, that's the Mark V belt. So pretty big demand for that. But you need to combine copper ingots with aluminum ingots to make the alkylate aluminum sheets. So even though we're starting with 3 copper nodes, I'm going to be only refining the ingots from one of these nodes. We'll smelt all of the copper copper ore into copper ingots, you know, there's no need for copper ore. We're not using any of the alternate recipes that combine like copper ore with iron ore. But beyond that, the ingots are used both in quick wire and alkali aluminum sheets. You know, just in addition to the 3 copper products of standard wire, cable, and copper sheets. Why don't we just pop these up here? There's a good chance later that I come back and combine all of these belts into a single bus just to make it look a little neater, even though, you know, you'll never really see this again. I'll know it's there, and it will bug me. Trains are really the best way to go. You know, it's just, they're high capacity, and they're just so clean. Each freight car, I believe, is is it 24 slots? I think it's 24 slots. It's between the no, 36 slots. Yeah, it's halfway between a storage container and an industrial storage container. So 24. What's going to be the best way to get it over? Yeah. Not gonna have enough belts to get us there. Not a big deal. You'll also see that I didn't finish any of the walls on this copper outpost because I'm not sure how big it's going to need to grow to supply our late game copper needs. So I'm not gonna wall it off when there's a pretty good chance that we're gonna need to expand the size of those platforms. It's not certain, but I'd say it's 50-50 that we have to expand the size of these platforms to accommodate more copper smelting. And also, like, even beyond the smelting, I think I calculated it, and if you're just making the wire alone, which you also need for cable, like one fully compressed Mark V belt of copper ingots can supply 52 constructors making wire. You know, that's a big chunk of real estate there. Okay, let's quickly go and restock on steel beams. Fortunately, we've got a pretty large supply in our starter steel factory over here. See, I cleared out the rest of the starter iron factory This is the starter copper factory. It'll be coming down as soon as we finish our copper outpost. Okay, let's just take all that we can hold. I haven't decided on a placement for like the central outpost where all of the in-game products are made. The products that require materials from, more than one already established outpost. Product that's probably going to be like obviously turbo motors. Turbo motors need a lot uh, of varied resources and components to make them. But possibly supercomputers. We may choose to make supercomputers in the computer outpost, but supercomputers may be another thing that's made. Also, heavy modular frames, that's an option. We could have like a separate heavy modular frames outpost to itself. That could be cool. I just had the thought that we could have a battery outpost. Batteries are relatively easy to make, but if we're using trucks, we could just include the battery outpost in their autopilot routes to restock on their fuel. Batteries are a great fuel for vehicles. That's really their only purpose right now. Okay, I think that the ore will be entering from this side, which is the south side, southern side of the outpost. We need to get up there and see where the center is. We need to place our walls for the conveyor lifts. Let's put a little temporary ramp here. I've already set up 2 of the 3 clusters of smelters. It'll be 3 originally. We're going to leave space for a 4th. If we combine 2 of the normal copper nodes into a 4th, we're probably going to need those ingots for the mid and late game requirements. Okay, left a nice amount of room here. 1, 2. Windows. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, good. So we'll put conveyor wells or windows in each of these. And then we'll go ahead and add the walls on top. Why not? Let's hop down. My health is really low. Can I survive that? I haven't made any more medicinal inhalers yet. I'll have to do that before too long because I've lost a lot of health just running around and falling or fighting beasties. Okay. Is this gonna clip against that rock? That's gonna annoy me. No, I think we're just going to make it. Although, fitting our window in here might be a challenge. Can we? No, we can get it there. Easy. haven't added my pillars to support this outpost yet. That needs to get done too. Come on. Can't seem to... There we go. Okay. Now, let's just decide the most ideal slots for these miners to input into. Most of the normal nodes that we'll need to tap, or that we could possibly tap for future expansion, is going to be in the west. And I think it's mostly the west and the southwest. So we'll use these first 3 windows. It's not going to be a big deal either way, but we'll use the first 3. This may be too far. And by the first 3, I mean the 3 on the eastern side there. Yeah, definitely going to be too far. I don't love that. Let's just try to sneak them by here. Actually, let's just use these first 2 windows. And then if we add a 3rd later, or when we do, we'll just put it on top of this stack of conveyor belts, and it'll all work out fine. Okay, no clipping. Let's grab our 3rd, final, pick it up. Now we'll make some conveyor lifts. That one looks too high. Yep. My mouse hand is falling asleep. Okay. Now all that's left is to power our miners. Something I could have done earlier had I been thinking ahead. Okay, there's one. Do we have any power down here? We gotta have power for the limestone miner, right? Oh, yikes. So our 3 Mark II copper miners are powered. That iron node is just really nicely placed. We'll have 2 pure iron nodes to feed our steel outpost. They're all really close. The 2 iron nodes and the 3 coal nodes. I wish they were pure coal nodes, but work with what you've got. We're just fixing that clipping. We are really barreling through these outposts. They get a lot easier once you've done one, you've got a plan in mind. So let's head back to the copper outpost. We'll set up that 3rd cluster of smelters. And again, these smelters they're mimicking the iron smelters. The ratios are the same. 1 full belt, 1 full Mark V belt. 780 pieces of ore per minute can feed 26 smelters using the normal recipe, standard recipe for ore to ingots. We'll leave 2 spaces between the rows, and we'll start setting up splitters. Two, 3. I'm gonna run out of iron plates here. One more, makes 13. Okay. Now, smelters. Let's just check the spacing we used, just so it's consistent. 1 space between splitter and smelter, 1 space between smelter and constructor. Okay, good. Not aligned. One thing you can do now that I just noticed is they've added an eyedropper function, but you have to be like in the build menu to access it. So like I just hit the 1 button to access a power pole from my hotbar. Then I can mouse over a smelter, hit the middle mouse button, and that eyedropper function will put the smelter on my cursor to be placed. That's nice. I just wish you didn't need to be in the build menu. I don't think there's another use for the middle mouse button, so if it could be used at any time, that'd be a little better. Now the mergers merging towards the middle. line of smelters. Let's check the spacing. It's one too far. There we go. So the math for these is really easy. Each cluster of 26 smelters requires 780 ore per minute to run. 780, that's a fully compressed Mark V belt. And each cluster of 26 outputs 780 ingots per minute. Fully compressed Mark V belt. Oh, these are splitters, not mergers. Okay. So these three clusters that we have right now from our three pure nodes will completely fill 3 Mark V belts with copper ingots. It's 780 times 3, is that 240 plus 2100, so 2340. 2,340 ingots per minute. Not bad, but I think we're gonna need more, I really do. Alright. I'll finish belting that last cluster up later. It's not going to be used for a while. In the meantime, I need to pick up some more iron plates. Just really quickly do that, and then we'll get at least one of these clusters of smelters running before the episode ends. Really disappointing about the power efficiency of those pure recipes, because if they had been more efficient, or if you could argue that they were efficient enough to use, oh no, wrong hypertube. Fortunately, you can turn around. If they had been more efficient to use, there's a really great lake, like right under the copper outpost. That would have been, really ideal. There's a recipe for steamed copper sheets, where I believe you combine water with copper ingots. Yeah. But again, it's twice as efficient in terms of ingots to copper sheets, and more than twice as efficient in terms of production rate, but the power, your constructor requires 4 megawatts, and a refinery requires 50. It's just not a great trade. No, my bad. Gotta go to the 3rd floor. Okay. Alright. So these first two clusters are completely set up. I don't think I've connected the wires yet. Maybe I did. Let's think here. I think we're just going to mimic what we did in the iron outpost. We're just going to try to leave a little bit more of this space in the center clean. So I'll bring it down here. And let's go over. We can actually put a splitter here. Okay. Okay. And the splitter will come over here. We'll raise it up. And it'll feed the other side. Now, if I did wire these up, yeah, okay, I guess the 8 at the end there their LEDs are yellow or green. So this cluster is now producing as many copper ingots as our belts can support. Guess there's really no reason not to use the center. Actually, let's keep it as compressed as we can without being sloppy. I'm gonna raise it up. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we've got our windows right here. I don't know why I chose to use double windows there. I think it makes more sense to use single windows. We'll change that. Well, you know what? We can use double windows. It's fine. Totally fine. So this is our first of 4 belts that will be going up to the second floor. Oh, I want to raise that up. And we'll use the second window. Alright. Yeah, that should be good. Let's think about how this placement's gonna look. Okay, so that's in the middle. So, 1, 2. This is the output for cluster we just set up. Yeah, that'll work. We can sneak our input belt under there. And then this can travel around and hit that first window on the left. Okay, this is a good place to end it. Between this episode and the next, I'll just hook up all these belts for this cluster of smelters, and I'll connect both clusters to the conveyor lifts coming and going from this floor. And in the next episode, we'll pick up on the second floor of the copper factory, putting down constructors for wire. It's going to be a lot of them, like 44, I think, making wire. 8 making copper, 8 making cables from the wire, and 6 making copper sheets. There are a few things that require cables. I'm not sure which recipes I'm going to be using yet, but you need cables for high-speed connectors, for one version of computers that we'll probably not be using. There are uses, also for crystal oscillators, if you want to go that route and not use the alternate recipe. But aside from that, you just need cables for just basic things like mergers, splitters need cables, and just connecting the power lines. So there's a decent need for cable. There's no higher tier component that actually needs copper sheets, so you're really just using copper sheets for your piping or your fluid buildings. Anyway, thanks for watching. I am loving this Outpost series. It's a lot of fun, and I can't wait until we start using probably tractors and trucks to transport the products of each outpost to other outposts. It's going to be so fun. That's coming up really soon. So if you're enjoying the series, please consider subscribing. Please smash the like button, and I'll see everyone in the next episode.